How many of you flew here?
And boy, are my arms tired.
Thank you, I was waiting for that. Airline rate fluctuations. Airplane ticket costs rise and fall. It's standard economics, supply and demand. But yet, when I come from Edmonton to go to New York, this is where I really noticed it. To go from Edmonton to New York through Toronto is actually cheaper than just going Edmonton to Toronto. As he says, it's just because it's Air Canada. How is this legal? That the longer trip with 2 planes, 2 sets of crew, multiple landing fees, how the hell is that cheaper than just going once? Why am I being punished for taking the shorter trip? There's a lot of... What's that?
Greed.
Greed, yeah.
It's actually
Because they can.
buying in bulk operations.
Yeah. Well, here's an example. AC 127, Toronto to Edmonton, that's the direct flight, staying in Canada. AC 127, same day, same flight, same everything. But continuing on to New York, there's a $100 difference there. That's a lot. It's not just the TSA that's screwing you at the airport, it's the airlines as well, if you hadn't noticed. This probably happens a lot, but I don't think anybody's ever actually done anything to track it and point out this as an issue. If anybody feels really adventurous, a website that takes scrape data from these schedules and can basically correlate what the cheapest way to get somewhere is. If I want to fly to Toronto, but the cheapest way for me is to book a flight to London and just not continue on to London, as consumers, hey, that's our prerogative. I mean, we want to get there the cheapest way we can. Why not? Now, if the airlines have to suddenly start dealing with a whole bunch of people who show up in Toronto but aren't making their connection, they might figure out that the consumer does not like getting screwed like that. So, a little bit of fight back, but hey, it saves money. Farecast.com is a really interesting resource. It basically tracks the cost of similar flights over time, and it's able to tell you that, yeah, don't buy yet, this price will probably go down, or you should buy now because this will probably go up based on trends. Something like this adapted to airline pricing and just finding the cheapest way to somewhere would probably be really useful. It just drives me nuts dealing with airports and airlines. There's too much security. This isn't ShmooCon, but pushing the envelope is a cool thing. We come up with all these cool things, but is this the best use for our talents and time? Freezing RAM to extract crypto is like the latest hot, but the amount of planning and execution required for that means that it's highly impractical for opportunists or anything like that outside of like a major black bag operation. Botnet sizes just show that basic security is still a massive problem. People are not patching, people are not cleaning up after themselves. I'm basically asking you, if a bug exists, does it make a sound? If we don't find it, and neither do the bad guys, does that necessarily make it a problem? I mean, in BSD they found a bug that was 25 years old. There was the Debian random number generator bug that went undetected for over a year. Nobody was looking. So what I'm proposing basically is that instead of trying to push the envelope for the new hot, exploit or whatever, look back at where we've already come from and figure out, why aren't people actually doing this? Like I said, with the BPA radius documentation, we've got the capability, why aren't we doing it? This should be a question that needs answering. Some things that are really good is things like Nessus changing their feeds so that if you're just a home user, you get the latest updates, you're not having to wait for a couple of months or whatever it was. Security compasses, exploit me tools, just putting the tools in the hands of the users to cover basic security. This sort of thing should be encouraged. I'll welcome discussion later. We have no skills. We suck. When I was in Norway in February, we took the opportunity to go to the Norwegian Resistance Museum during the Second World War, the resistance fighters against the Nazis. We don't hold a candle to these guys. These guys are the true hackers. The stuff they came up with under massive duress pales in comparison to anything we can come up with. We have a passion for exploration and exploitation, but there's some fundamental things I think we've forgotten that I'd like to introduce back in. Who can identify this device? Just shout it.
Radio.
What kind of radio?
Crystal.
All right, close enough. I was looking for foxhole radio. The idea being it's like found parts. You can build a really simple radio receiver in a battlefield or whatever. It's kind of a survivalist trait. But how many of you could actually build one? None. Me neither. If we, you look at your cell phone and how many circuits are in there. If something bad happened to that, you wouldn't be able to fix it at an electronic level. You'd just, go down and buy a new one or call warranty or something like that. But if everything hits the fan, what are you going to do? If you're in a survival situation. I made the mistake of thinking of this while watching Dawn of the Dead. So, looking at it, okay, you've got your cast of characters all have their particular usefulness. What's my usefulness in that situation? Probably the guy they throw to the zombies to slow them down while everybody else is running. So I'm proposing for next year that we do something in a village or a talk or something like that about hacker survival skills. Outside of the ham emergency stuff, outside of the usual Michigan militia survivalist stuff, but just how can we be useful if everything hits the fan? So, if you got any ideas on that one, please email me, let me know. I'd really like to see something like that next year.